Hey, what's up, guys? It's yours truly, Danny Explosion, back here, bringing you guys another album review today. Today, as you can tell by the title, we will be reviewing Aborted Retrogore. I got it on vinyl off CM Distro. They brought it in early. I got it on Monday, but I'm making the review today. It's the gatefold. Love the gatefold. And the reason why I got it off CM Distro is the vinyl. Translucent green, boy. Goes good with the album cover. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just gonna put this back in here for you. And let's get to the album. It also came with a CD and a poster, which is right there. But anyway, let's get to the album itself. I'm done showing you it. There's a total of 12 tracks on this album. It was released yesterday, April 22nd, 2016, through Century Media Records. This is their 9th studio album. And hold on. Okay, that's better. And the lineup for this album is JB Vonderval on bass, Ken Beninin on drums, Mendel Bideli, and Ian Yakelis on guitars, and Sven de Calove, aka Svacho, on vocals. And this album also features guest vocals from Travis Ryan from Cal Decapitation, Julian Trukin of Benighted, Jason Keyser from Origin, and David Davidson of Revocation. All awesome bands. I'm about to go track for track right about now. Retrogore, first real track on this album. The first track, Delamore, is an intro. But first real track on this beast, Retrogore. Perfectly executed opening track for this album. This track was released, I say like maybe a month before this album got released, and this is just a fucking great track that just sets the mood and just shows you what you're in store for this album. I give this track a 4.5 out of 5. And the next track, real track on here, Cadaverous Banquet. This is one of my personal favorite tracks off this album. This is one of the more technical tracks on this album, but it's a more catchier. I mean, I just thought it was really, really catchy. This is the track that features Julian Trukin from Benighted on it. And when he adds his vocals in the middle of the song, it just makes it sound very eerie and dark, and it just fucking really, really sets the mood. And so is the guitar work on this track too. It just sets that eerie atmosphere. And I just fucking love this track. This just had insane instrumentation on it. Really good track, 5 out of 5. Hormageddon, another really fucking insane track that I really love here. The riffs, the bass work on here was fucking great. The drum work, which is blast beats galore. I mean, Ken Beninin on those fucking kicks, dude. Wow. I just love the way the kicks sound on here. But this was just an insane, devastating track with like those, like, I guess you can call them grind slams, because this does have grindcore influence, because it is death grind. But those grindy parts where it just gets really, really slow and heavy, just fucking punches you in the face. Hormageddon's a 4 out of 5 for me. The next track, Termination Redux. As you guys may know, this was the track that was on the EP, which was released back in January, I think. Somewhere around January, somewhere around winter. But this is an alternate version. This version sounds more tighter, and I really, really like it. This is just a really nice, tight, crushing, heavy pummeling track, which is really, really good instrumentation. 4 out of 5 for me. The next track, Bit by Bit. This was one of the more straightforward, less technical, more simple kind of tracks on here. But it is still really, really good and just crushes your fucking skull. I mean, this is just a really dark, heavy fucking track. 4.5 out of 5. The next track, which features Travis Ryan from Cal Decapitation, and it was released before the album got released, along with Bit by Bit, Retrogore, and Termination Redux, Divine Impediment. This was just a flawless standout track on this album with just, and if you can tell, like on the guitar work and the instrumentation, they've experimented a little bit. They've added a bit more, I guess you could say, black metal influence on here, because if you can like tell on the opening riff on this album, not album, track, Divine Impediment, they've added a bit more elements to the riffing, and that's really, really cool. And this was just a fucking awesome track. I don't know, for some reason, Sven Calloway's and Travis Ryan's vocals just fit together perfectly in the same mixture. I mean, this is just a really good track. Divine Impediment, 5 out of 5. Next track, Covenant of Ignorance. This is the track that features David Davidson from Revocation, and this was another one of the more simple, kind of straightforward kind of tracks, with just a devastating mid part where just Sven Calloway and David Davidson just do vocals together, and just a heavy crushing riff. It says like, I see your world burn, or something like that. I don't remember, but I don't know. This was just a really, really fucking good track. I give it a 4.5 out of 5. The next track, Mephitic Conundrum. This features Jason Keyser, who is the current vocalist from Origin. And this was just another really heavy pummeling track, just showing you what Aborted's all about. That's why I give it a 4.25 out of 5. The next track, this is the track that kind of stuck out to me the least, Forged into Decrepitude. This was the shortest track on this album, but it still packs a punch. Not a standout track for me on this album, but I still thought it was a really pretty good track. I give it a 3.75 out of 5. My personal favorite track on this album, From Beyond the Grave, which is next, is just a really good, a little bit more simple, but still technical fucking track that's just dark as fuck, and I just love that track. From Beyond the Grave, 5 out of 5. And the closing track, In Avernus, another perfectly executed fucking closing track with a nice sample at the end of the track to lead you out of this fucking monster. And this was probably the most simplest track on this album, and god damn, dude, this was just a really fucking heavy track. This is probably like the most heaviest track out of this whole album, and I fucking loved it. 4.75 out of 5 for me. So, I mean, it's been 2 years since Aborted have released a full length ever since the Necrotic Manifesto. And they set the bar pretty high when they released Global Flatline. And people were expecting the Aborted to live up to Global Flatline when they released Necrotic Manifesto. And they kind of tried too hard to, and even though Necrotic Manifesto was really, really good, it wasn't as good as Global Flatline, but when they released Termination Redux, they got everybody buzzing on, you know, what Aborted's gonna bring this year. And they did. They brought Retrogore. And this album doesn't really particularly bring anything new to the table, but with a couple tweaks here and there and a tighter production, they just delivered a fucking, just a devastating album with amazing tracks like Retrogore, Divine Impediment, Cadaverous Banquet, Bit by Bit, The Mephitic Conundrum, In Avernus, From Beyond the Grave. Just so many fucking standout tracks on this album. Hormageddon, oh man. And the way I say it is, plus vocals from the front men of Cal Decapitation, Benighted, Origin, Revocation, just adds the cherry on top to this Sunday of fucking brutality. Yeah, I know it sounds stupid, fuck off. But production is a lot more tighter, a lot more, I guess you can say a bit more raw than Necrotic Manifesto was. But they also kind of experimented and added a bit more elements to this album. Like they added a bit more, they added a little bits and pieces of black metal influence, especially on tracks like In Avernus and Divine Impediment, which I really enjoyed. This album is just filled with insane vocals, blast beats galore, technicality and simplicity blended together to form something really good, and just make another brutal, devastating album from the Kings of Death Grind. And this was just a major step up from Necrotic Manifesto, and it's just proving people's point that that Aborted is just gonna keep getting better and better. And it seemed like they didn't really try. They didn't really try. They were more focused on this album. They were more focused on, they were more focused on trying to make a really good album instead of, trying to outdo something, which just made this album probably to me a little bit better than Global Flatline. And this album will just crush and smash you to pieces. I mean, this was just a fucking killer release, and probably one of my favorite releases of 2016 so far. And this is probably one of the more darkest release, like with like the black metal influence, like the little bit of black metal influence added to the guitar work and stuff like that. It just adds like a bit more eerie, kind of fear-inducing atmosphere that just really adds to this album. And this album was just perfectly executed. Not really too much bad things I can say about this album, but just, yeah, this was just a fucking great album. That's why I give Retrogore an 89 out of 100. Definitely go pick yourself up a copy. There might be still copies of this Final Color on CM Distro, but you can also get it on the box set. You can also just get a regular copy. Indie Merch has this pressed on orange, but yeah, if you want, go check this album out. If you haven't, if you like it, buy it, support these guys. I love this album. Definitely go check it out. That was Danny Explosion bringing you guys another album review. I hope you like it. If you didn't like it, oh well, that's too bad. But yeah, thank you for watching. Just thank you for your time watching my review. Just, thank you so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing. You can do that if you want, but as always, cheers.